and welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name is Rich Tehrani. We are at Interrupt 2011 in Las Vegas. On our program today, Calvin Nicholson, who is the Director of New Technologies at Server Technology. Calvin, how are you?
Good, very good.
So lots of technology in the title, technology, in the, names, in the company name.
That's right.
So you know a thing or two about technology.
We do. Yep. I'm working on a lot of new technology.
So let's start off by talking about what your company's doing in the NOC here at Interrupt. What are you doing?
So we're providing our power distribution units. We've got our POPs technology in there, which is our per outlet power sensing. So that'll get you down to device level monitoring. So we're doing device level monitoring to really understand what's going on in the NOC, understand the power usage of the devices, and make sure capacities aren't exceeded, and that there's really no problems with the NOC's network.
So give me some real world examples. How often does power get exceeded on a, let's say on a server?
Well, in many cases, there's a number of different situations. Everything from somebody plugging something in that they shouldn't, to workload exceeding a rated capacity, and we can alarm and alert on all those things and let people know really before there's a problem. Okay.
And in terms of specific examples, do you have any where your technology helped the company in such a situation?
Sure, we do. So if you really look overall, one of the big things today is overall capacity within the data center. Our demand for compute just continues to go up and up and up. So we have a number of customers now monitoring down to the device level to really understand stranded capacity. They're providing circuits to the cabinets, but they're not using all the power that's there. So they want to understand how much more available power they have that they can use to add new devices, or where a cabinet is capable of taking a new server versus adding racks or even building a new data center or expanding their facility. So
what are some of the new things that are happening?
We're doing a number of different things, probably three different things on three different fronts. One is we partnered with a company called RF Code, and we've got a new wireless solution out. We continue to increase.
What does that do?
That is really the ability to take our cabinet power distribution unit and take it off the network and transmit all the power, environmental, and other information over a wireless connection.
Okay, and what else? What other kinds of things?
Higher and higher densities. Right now, the latest trend is even past 415 volt three-phase to 480 volt three-phase. So we're looking at some products there, essentially taking the in-feed to the building and bringing that down to the rack and distributing to the devices at 277 single-phase. And then the last thing is we're about to release a new version of our Central Power Manager, which is our software tool that aggregates all the information, monitors, manages all the cabinet power distribution units on your network.
So let me ask a question. For companies that aren't currently monitoring, what are some of the things that happen at customer sites that are bad before they call you?
Well, there's a number of different things. In some cases, there can be good things in that they're using the monitoring to really understand their efficiency or how they can be more efficient.
So I think of a company like, typically you buy insurance after you've been robbed.
Sure,
you buy a UPS
fair.
after your power went out. So my question is more, give me a range of things that your customers have happened to them before they pick up the phone and say that they need you, so that we can educate the market on some of the potential pitfalls that they could experience and hopefully warn them in advance on at least what they should expect, and so they know in advance that if they call you, some of the areas where they're less likely to have a problem.
Sure, absolutely. So there's several areas. One being environmentals. We do temperature and humidity, so we can alert if there's hot spots in their data center before they have a problem. And then on the monitoring...
But let's focus on that. So what happens if you have a hot spot in your data center?
So if you have a hot spot in your data center, you have the potential for devices to go down. You have the potential, we've had customers that have had damaged equipment. And all that leads to downtime, which in a data center is never good. Outages, downtime, problems, unhappy customers.
So your definition of a hotspot is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you've got a temperature in the room, but certain parts of the room are different temperatures.
Yes, there could be a rack location that exceeds the allowable temperature that you would like to see the devices at. And it could be isolated to a rack or a number of smaller devices in the rack, but the bottom line being that it gets too hot too fast. For whatever reason, there's not available cooling, and bad things happen because of it.
So hard disks wear out more quickly, processors overheat, right?
Yeah, it can be, yes, absolutely, and failure to the device itself as well. Yeah, okay. Total failure in some cases.
Okay, so I interrupted you there. What are some of the other things that you protect against for customers?
Some of the other things is understanding the overall capacity on a circuit so that you don't trip the upstream breaker on that circuit, and again, take down part of or even all of the power in that rack.
So, okay, makes good sense. So let's think this through. Somebody plugs in something they shouldn't in a server. It's starting to take more power. Over time, it heats up, let's say, a circuit breaker.
Yeah, there's typically upstream breakers in the RPP, the remote power panel, and those will blow and you'll have devices go down within that rack.
Okay, and so basically having forewarning that you could potentially break the circuit or the circuit breaker, and so that you go in and you say, oh my God, let me take some of this equipment, shut it down and move it over, or unplug something that doesn't need to be plugged in, or something like that, right?
That's exactly right. And also with our switched units, once a rack is configured, you can take the unused outlets and turn them off. So therefore people aren't allowed to plug in things they shouldn't plug in. And another thing is you get a lot of work tickets because when somebody does plug something in, a lot of times they won't plug it in right, either for redundancy or for three-phase load balancing. Okay. And therefore, if you turn off the outlets and they have to go to somebody to get permission and have the right person there to commission a new device, then you avoid a lot of those work tickets and those problems later.
Now, do you have a lot of questions from customers that are looking to have remote reboot?
We do. There's a lot of value in that. There's a lot of value in that in a lot of different instances. Lab installations. Many cases, you'll have a lab today where the engineers in the U.S. work on it in the day, and at night, the engineers from India are working on it. You can't have somebody there 24 hours to reboot devices. Always at remote locations, you're going to find that the cost to get a person to roll a truck, you're down the whole time until somebody can get out there. Those are all high-value places where we see a lot of remote reboot being used.
Okay. Yeah. What's next for the company?
We're going to continue to expand our software tools. Like I mentioned, we've got a new version of SPM coming out. That's our Central Power Manager tool. So that will go out on the network and across subnets and discover all our cabinet power distribution units and bring all the power information into that system. From there you can do reports, you can do trends, you can create a report and save it, schedule it to go out once a week. You can provide SNMP traps. You can look at trends of power usage, predict over time if you see power usage going up in a particular cabinet or a particular area. So they're really taking that information and really starting to use it. We've also got a new circuits parameter in there where I can match single phase and three-phase lines coming back all the way from the PDUs, the main PDUs on the floor, and we can help with load balancing three-phase circuits as well, which is a significant issue. Because I can take the aggregate information, often coming from separate PDUs because you have an A and B in feed, into the rack, match up whether it's a three-phase or a single-phase line, bring that in, see if I'm load balanced or not. If I'm not load balanced, I've got efficiency losses, I've got heating issues with the three-phase circuits.
Perfect. Thanks for being on the program today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.